contract negotiations about a new deal with the Cowboys. There hasn't been much movement yet this offseason, but Dak said he isn't concerned about getting something done.
There's been conversations back and forth, but for the most part, for me, as y'all know, I've been letting my agent do that, especially as we get right here into training camp. Day one of training camp, my mind flips to just obviously helping my team and just doing everything I can within the organization and on the football field to make sure that I'm my best and everyone around me is their best. And the money and all that will take care of itself, as it always has.
We'll say this about Dak, wearing his hat forward for those big one-on-one press conferences. I always love the hat on forward, and that's why I love Dak for all the intangibles. $48 million, absolutely. $50 million gives me pause. $58 million, I'm not interested. There's a lot of fear-based stuff in sports. I think with the Cowboys, they've moved into a terrified what if we don't have Dak? And to that I would say, well, you've had him. What did you get for him?
You got second in MVP last year.
Oh, neato.
12
That's the
Neato.
NBA. You're talking
wins.
NBA. That's basketball.
Okay, but what's the alternative, Colin?
Okay, that's fear.
That's
so your
fear.
first comment was NBA. Your second one was fear. What's the alternative? Risk? Super Bowls?
Cooper Rush?
That's not a Super Bowl.
Right, and this team believes that they're Super Bowl contenders, and you are only a Super Bowl contender with a bona fide top 5 quarterback. Second in MVP last year. He's 30 years old.
But he's not. He is a.
Even if he's very good, you can win with Dak.
No, you cannot win a Super Bowl with Dak. Not at $58 million. No, you can't. You couldn't have won with Brady if he would have taken the top contracts in the league. Mahomes is the only guy that proves in this league, you can pay me the most and I'll win. That's it. There's one in the league.
But if Trevor Lawrence is getting 55...
He's not as talented as Trevor Lawrence. He was a 4th-round pick, not a 1st. He doesn't throw a ball like Trevor Lawrence. He's not as talented as Trevor Lawrence. He's not as good as Herbert. He was a 4th-round pick who didn't throw a pretty ball, still doesn't. Not good in the postseason. If you take out one playoff game against old Tom Brady, or it may have been Baker, I forget who was quarterbacking, his playoff performances, this is not the NBA. It's not about MVP votes. Westbrook won an MVP. Embiid.
Okay, but
it's about winning in January. Dak doesn't. And by the way, when Dak is on the field with Jordan Love last year, Jordan is significantly more athletic, better arm.
I don't disagree.
I mean,
Jordan Love's a better football player.
Oh, Jordan Love is a significantly better talent.
Okay, but Jordan Love's going to get 53, 55,
and
somewhere in that range.
He deserves it.
So if Dak wants somewhere in that range, he's going to get it as well, because the alternative, to your point, even if it's not fair, is fear.
Alternative, nobody elevates a business that is miring in concern with fear.
Fair.
You got to take big swing. Dallas is not a Super Bowl team. You're not winning a Super Bowl with Dak. You could if Dak made 28. You're not winning a Super Bowl if Dak's the 50.
But half the league's making 40 plus.
Well,
14 guys make 40 plus.
But look at where they were drafted. Look at how are they viewed as Lamar's elite. Josh is elite. Mahomes elite. Burrow elite.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence is elite.
Well, he was a number 1 pick, best high school and college quarterback by far in the country. Has had a fumble issue, but it's a dysfunctional organization that he got to the playoffs and actually won a playoff game. So he's got half of Dak's playoff wins.
But so let's just play it out. Dak, let's say he's a 31-year-old free agent quarterback coming off a second in MVP. Let's say this year he's the eighth best quarterback in the league.
He's not. He's closer to 14, but let's say he is.
Was he last year? Was he the second best?
He's not as good as Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Matt Stafford. That's just in the NFC. Jalen Hurts. That's just in the NFC. I'm not sure right now he's significantly better than Brock Purdy. I'm not sure he is. I think they're very similar.
Okay, but Brock Purdy has proven he's gotten right to the mountaintop. So if they're very similar,
Brock Purdy makes $800,000 a year.
But next year, when he's eligible, that's going to go way up.
There are going to be limitations on what they pay him. Because
I'm just saying, franchise quarterbacks don't grow on trees.
They don't.
And he's going to be 31. So how much? What would you say the comp is for Dak compared to Kirk? How close are they?
They're the same guy.
Okay, so Kirk gets $50 million, right? So or close to $50 million. So if Kirk's getting that as a 35-year-old coming off a torn Achilles, what's a healthy Dak getting at 31?
Dak's had more and more injuries. They're the exact same quarterback, and one of the reasons Kirk Cousins hasn't won in the playoffs, he takes the money over everything. Kirk's always been about the money. That's fine. Kirk is a B-plus quarterback. B-plus quarterbacks do not win Super Bowls. Go and look at the last Super Bowl winners have been coming out of the AFC for a long time.
Okay.
AFC dominates the NFC in the Super Bowl. Who's been winning them? 2 guys.
Flacco won a Super Bowl.
Flacco's a better talent than Dak. Flacco is a much bigger, stronger, better arm than Dak.
Okay, I don't disagree with that. But I don't think Flacco, even at his peak, he had the 11 touchdown Super Bowl run.
Flacco's a better arm talent than Dak, and it's not particularly close.
I'll take Dak over Flacco.
I would not. One got to a Super Bowl. One goes into Foxborough, can go toe-to-toe with Brady in his prime.
This is a bigger conversation. We need to have another dinner, flush this out, and then come back.
Dak Prescott is Kirk Cousins, and they're both fine. But you start paying these guys top of the market, you are out of the Super Bowl. I've been right on the Cowboys for 25 straight years. Cowboy fans can argue with me. You've been wrong for 25 straight. I've been right for 25 straight. I'm on a heater, which is you're a pretty good team, but you're not a serious Super Bowl team. All these teams that want to pay their quarterback, you have to have an A-tap. Like, Trevor Lawrence is the one guy people put bash by. He was the number 1 high school, the number 1 college quarterback, and he got the Jags, a circus of a franchise, to the playoffs and won a game. So you can say all you want. And he just, this year is probably the first year of his prime. I'd argue Dak's at the end of his prime. So I'm getting an older quarterback, dealt with more injuries. Sometimes you just need to see people on the same field at the same time.
Okay.
When you see Jordan Love and Dak on the field.
I don't disagree. There's a big difference.
And Jordan Love, with the youngest playoff team since the 1970 Bills, Jordan Love was more nimble, more athletic, bigger arm, better arm. It wasn't close. It was like, it's like when Justin Fields, a lot of people in Chicago were on Justin Fields in week 13, 14. And then in that last week, Fields went up against Jordan Love. And the gap, nobody could defend Justin Fields. It's like Fields to Jordan Love twice a year in the NFC North. You couldn't defend Justin Fields anymore. People were defending Justin Fields all year, even late in the season. You got to consider. But when you put somebody on the field with somebody else, like Dak and Jordan Love, that was painful if you're a Cowboy fan. Dallas had the better roster at home and got housed.
Okay,
and Dak looked nervous, anxious, and like the second best quarterback on the field.
Okay, so I'll close with this. What's the number you're going with Dak if you're
Well,
Dallas?
I would never get it, but I'd say, Dak, I'm going to pay a high 40s.
Yeah, that's not going to
happen. It's a Tua number.
No, but Tua's going to get...
Yeah, again, that's why Miami's not going to be a Super Bowl team. And these teams all get into fear. San Francisco drafted a quarterback, it whiffed. They got Brock Purdy in the 7th.
Yeah, but that's Kyle Shanahan. That's a once-in-a-generation type of quarterback coach.
Who's the East Coast Kyle Shanahan? Mike McDaniel. Why are you so fear-based? Kyle did it. Why can't you? It's very fear-based.
Right, we got to come back to this because we got a lot. We got Bronny. We got Trevor Lawrence. Actually, let's go to Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars locked in on T-Law this offseason. 5 years, $275 million, Colin. Jacksonville's hopeful that their investment in Lawrence will pay off quickly, and Lawrence said he's confident the team's best football is ahead of them.
You talk about the team and where we're heading. I feel like the best days are definitely ahead of us, and I know, speaking individually as well, in my game, I feel like I'm far from playing my best football, and I know that's ahead of me. So I'm really excited about that. This team that we have this year is really good. I think it's the best team we've had since I've been there, and I'm really excited to see it all come together throughout training camp and as we get ready for the season.
I'm picking them to win their division. I'm picking Dallas not to make the playoffs. So when people say, well, he got paid, he's a better quarterback. Dallas has not necessarily been dysfunctional, but a bit delusional. Jacksonville's been dysfunctional most of the last 20 years, and he got him a playoff win. So I think they're going to be the best team. I think Houston and Jacksonville are going to carry the division this year, and people will see it. Because right now, there's a lot of like, well, what's Justin Herbert? Justin finally has a legitimate coach. Trevor's finally got a big-time roster. Both are going to flourish this year. If they're healthy, they'll both flourish.
I totally agree with Herbert. Lawrence, I really like his talent. I think everyone really likes his talent. He was kind of this Elway Marino hybrid. You mentioned number 1 quarterback, comes out of Clemson.
Yeah.
He's been good. He hasn't been great.
That's right.
He had a great stretch the last 9 games of 2022. Last year, he was banged up a lot.
All year.
They give him $200 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I really love him, though. Because his talent is to throw the ball down the field. And what did Jacksonville just draft? Yeah. Brian Thomas Jr.,
yeah,
who was a monstrous vertical threat, overshadowed by Malik Neighbors at LSU. 17 touchdowns, 6'4", 210. He can flat out run. Ran a 4.3 40. Colin, I'm telling you, he is a superstar in the making. Lawrence, they're going to miss Ridley. But between him, Kirk, Ingram, Etienne, and Gabe Davis, Lawrence is going to eat this year.
Well, the other thing is Trevor Lawrence's contract is a bit like Ken Griffey in Seattle. He saved baseball.
Lawrence saved the Jags.
Yeah, the Jags were considering moving.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, Dallas is never moving. Trevor Lawrence is the most important player in the history of Jacksonville Jaguars football. There is no second place. He saved the franchise. I mean, a couple years ago, we were talking as they were putting that team in the international games.
Yeah.
There was a lot of discussion. To move them to London. So his contract, a lot of it's Ken Griffey to the Mariners, the Kingdom. They were trying to get a new stadium built. Like they beat the Yankees.
Yeah.
You and I grew up in that area.
Yeah.
Griffey